2024 has provided us with some fantastic RPGs to dive into thus far, from Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth to Dragon's Dogma 2 to the newest Elden Ring expansion. But the year isn't over yet and there is still a full slate of RPGs to look forward to. So in this video, I want to discuss 14 new and exciting RPGs still releasing in 2024. First up is Black Myth: Wukong. Produced by Chinese developer Game Science, Black Myth: Wukong is an upcoming Souls-like action RPG. Wukong is a game that looks to deliver intense and exciting combat with a huge variety of moves and abilities to use in-game. The game is based on the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West, which spans 100 chapters and narrates the story of Sun Wukong, also known as the Monkey King. Sun Wukong embarks on a journey to seek an understanding of the universe. Although the Monkey King aspires to become a god, his journey unfolds with different outcomes. Wukong is famed for his strength, agility, and shape-shifting abilities, which are central aspects of the game. The story of the Monkey King is very popular and has been adapted in different formats like video games and TV, even inspiring the character Goku in the Dragon Ball series. Within the game, you will play as the Destined One. In the story of Journey to the West, Wukong possesses many abilities, from incredible strength to extreme speed, amazing memory, and excellent fighting skills. He also acquires the 72 earthly transformations, allowing him to transform into numerous animals and objects. Black Myth: Wukong looks to utilize these incredible abilities to tell their story, as you explore and fight your way through a fantastical world set in 7th century China, where you'll face numerous supernatural enemies along the way. Wukong's primary weapon is a magical staff that he can shrink to the size of a needle and store inside his ear. Mastering the staff's techniques, which require precision and skill, are essential for combat in the game. In the game, combat is a fast-paced and dynamic experience where you have to skillfully dodge attacks and strike enemies wherever there is an opening. The gameplay will introduce spells early on, with one essential spell being the ability to immobilize enemies very briefly, even bosses, which provide you a critical advantage to either avoid attacks or deal significant damage. The structure of gameplay involves navigating through short areas with common enemies before encountering a boss, maintaining a fast-paced progression along the way. Despite the range of stunning landscapes that we have seen, Black Myth: Wukong is not a fully open world game, but is more linear in its level design. Black Myth: Wukong looks to blend traditional storytelling with fast-paced combat, including the strategic use of spells and transformations. Its release is highly anticipated, currently sitting at the top of Steam's most wishlisted titles. With impressive visuals and high-octane gameplay, Wukong looks like a very impressive title that I'm looking forward to. Visions of Mana is an action RPG and is the first mainline installment in the Mana series in over 15 years. Visions of Mana is not the typical RPG that I would play, but I checked out some of the gameplay for it and it looked really interesting. The game offers an expansive and vibrant adventure through a colorful and exciting world. The Mana series has significantly influenced the JRPG genre since its debut in 1991, known for its deep stories and memorable combat. In Visions of Mana, you take on the role of Val, a curious and carefree young man. Every 4 years, a fairy visits different regions to select alms, who are individuals destined to journey to the Tree of Mana. During a festival welcoming the fairy, Val's childhood friend is chosen as the alm. With the blessings of his village, Val embarks on a journey to accompany his friend to the Tree of Mana as her soul guard. In Visions of Mana, you embark on a journey across an expansive, semi-open field that allows for seamless exploration. These vast areas are filled with secrets to uncover and enemies to battle. The party-based combat is real-time and fast-paced, maintaining the series tradition with an emphasis on combat and strategy. However, Visions of Mana offers a completely new experience compared to previous games. It moves away from the top-down 2D combat to fast-paced, vibrant 3D battles. You can swap between the party's 3 heroes, each with unique abilities and strengths, and while you're controlling one character, the AI seamlessly controls the 2 other characters, allowing all 3 heroes to participate and perform combo moves. Visions of Mana is an interesting and vibrant game that looks to revitalize a beloved series. If JRPGs are your thing, Visions of Mana is one to watch. Star Wars Outlaws is the next third-person Star Wars experience from Ubisoft. Advertised as the first open-world game set in the Star Wars universe, Outlaws focuses on the grittier aspects, being set during the period between Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. The story unfolds in a galaxy where the Empire is tightening its grip amidst a full-blown rebellion, where there are backroom dealings, dramatic shootouts, and high-stakes chases involving Imperial officers and crime bosses. You'll step into the role of the scoundrel Kay Vess, a galactic outlaw on a quest for one of the biggest heists in the Outer Rim. As with any new Star Wars entry, there has to be some kind of lovable companions, which of course Kay has as well. First up is Nyx, a four-legged furry alien, as well as her commando droid ND5. You can traverse planets using speeders and explore various towns and cities. If you get into trouble with local authorities, you can escape via your spaceship, the Trailblazer, and jump to different planets through hyperspace. Now, unlike traditional Star Wars games that center around the Jedi and their lightsaber duels, Outlaws has a more grounded focus. The game's open world includes space-based dogfights where you have freedom to choose your path. This element of choice also extends to the ground missions as well, where there's a variety of mission types from stealth-based challenges to high-speed chases and intense shootouts. One really cool feature is that the game will include a full reputation and wanted system similar to those in GTA and Red Dead Redemption 2. K's reputation is influenced by your decisions and actions in both missions and the open world areas that you visit. Now, this system can affect how different factions and characters might interact with K, and in my opinion, reputation systems are one of the coolest things that you can experience in a game, especially if they're done really well. Now, Outlaws is being developed by Massive Entertainment, the studio behind The Division, as well as the recent Avatar Frontiers of Pandora. From the gameplay footage, you can see some of that Division influence on the combat and the movement, from the gunplay to the way that K moves around the map utilizing cover along the way. With its unique focus on a less explored part of the Star Wars universe, Outlaws is looking to position itself as something different than the typical Star Wars game. If done well, then I feel Outlaws could be a really fun and interesting title, and so I'm excited to see more from the game as we get closer to launch. Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl is the newest installment in the Stalker franchise. It's an FPS experience combining RPG, horror, and action-adventure elements, giving you the experience of surviving in the post-apocalyptic Chernobyl exclusion zone. Initially set for release in April 2022, Stalker 2 faced multiple delays. It was first postponed to December 2022 for further refinement of the game. However, due to the Russian invasion of Ukraine in 2022, that caused another indefinite delay, with some of the development staff even joining the defense efforts, further impacting that development. After relocating their development studio and continuing development on the game, it is now set for a release date of September 5th. Stalker 2 is set to continue the narrative from the original Stalker trilogy, but it will not be necessary to go back and play those games for new players to enjoy the game as well. It introduces a new character known as Skiff, which will serve as the player character. You will be a lone stalker whose decisions will impact the storyline in significant ways, with both immediate and overarching consequences on the game's story and world. In Stalker 2, the exclusion zone has changed dramatically after another massive explosion in the year 2006, with violent mutants, deadly anomalies, and warring factions making the zone a very difficult place to survive. Throughout the game, you'll meet many different characters and faction members, where it's up to you to decide who you want to trust and befriend. You will also engage in intense gunfights with a variety of enemies that use different tactics trying to outsmart you. Now, this is an area I feel the Stalker games have always done a great job with, providing you with enemies that aren't just mindless drones. They actually utilize cover and strategy and make combat a challenge. Stalker 2 will feature over 30 different weapon types, each customizable with mods that can be installed on the fly or at technician workshops. Mutant creatures return to the game with both recognizable and drastically altered forms. Stalker 2 mutants follow different behavior models and may also appear as different subtypes, making them less predictable. Now, the game is said to feature a seamless open world described as one of the biggest in video games, with a goal of being able to explore over 60 square kilometers without running into any loading screens. A major feature for Stalker 2 is the overhauled A-Live 2.0 system, which is an AI system that allows different factions, mutants, and creatures to interact with one another in the background, affecting the game world even when your character may not be present to see it. Factions and mutants within the game will actively compete for territory, migrate, and adapt based on your actions as well as the actions of others. GSC Game World is also committed to adding mod support for the game starting at day 1, as well as adding multiplayer to the game later on at a post-launch update. Now, whether or not they can still commit to all this with all the delays and challenges that they've faced is yet to be seen, but I'm hopeful. With its unique blend of FPS and immersive sim elements, Stalker 2 is shaping up to be a fantastic experience. And I'm sure there are plenty of people who can't wait to return to the zone. Greedfall 2: The Dying World is the prequel to the original Greedfall, released in 2019. This will be Studio Spider's first major sequel. The game is set in the colonial-themed island of Tirfradi. While the original Greedfall isn't a game I was able to play, the world of Greedfall looks extremely interesting, so Greedfall 2 has definitely caught my eye. Greedfall 2 transports us back in time 3 years before the events of the first game. The story unfolds from the perspective of a native of Tirfradi who finds themselves transported to the main continent. The game's plot is said to be dynamic and evolves based on your decisions and actions, throwing you into a story filled with political interest, power struggles, and the looming threat of the Malachor Plague. The game's official description emphasizes regaining freedom and thwarting the ambitions of a dangerous man using your diplomacy, cunning, combat, and the support of allies. And the sequel will place a greater emphasis on companions. According to an interview with IGN, director Joanna Rousseau mentioned that the vision for Greedfall 2 is to replicate the smart approach to real-time with pause combat seen in Knights of the Old Republic. Spiders is aiming to improve companion AI, making it smarter and more dynamic to handle basic encounters efficiently. The new pause system will significantly aid in boss battles, allowing you to fine-tune your party's positions and synchronize attacks. In a recent community update on Steam, the development team looked to update players on the status of the game. The game is slated for release in 2024, beginning with early access later this summer, but no specific date has been indicated. Regarding the game's content, Spiders is continually making improvements, including increasing the variety of regions and zones as well as companions and quests. They've also worked to improve the combat based on community feedback received thus far. Regarding the narrative, they are focusing on shaping the narrative to provide you with multiple ways to navigate the world and handle situations. The post finished by discussing how Spiders plans to use early access to gather feedback and improve the game content with the community. Greedfall 2 sounds like a really interesting title set in a fun setting. I'm excited to see more from the game and see community feedback once the game launches later this year. Throne and Liberty is a fantasy MMORPG from developer NCSoft. It is currently available in South Korea but is set to release in the West on September 17th, with Amazon Games facilitating its Western launch. Now, MMORPGs are typically not my game of choice, however, Throne and Liberty does have plenty of elements that I enjoy. The game is eliminating traditional classes, instead offering a variety of skills and abilities through different weapon types. The medieval fantasy MMO emphasizes travel and exploration, allowing you to transform into animals for faster movement. It also features large-scale PvE and PvP experiences. Some of the weapon types that are available include swords and shields, great swords, daggers, crossbows, wands and tomes, longbows, and staffs. You can equip 2 weapon sets simultaneously, allowing for easy switching between different styles, which is a mechanic similar to the Elder Scrolls Online. Now, combat in Throne and Liberty is third person with a strong emphasis on mobility and dodging, particularly for ranged combat. Something I found really cool is that weather conditions actually affect combat skills, with archers needing to consider the wind speed and the direction when they're aiming their attacks. The game features numerous PvE dungeons and bosses that offer loot and rewards, and world bosses can actually turn areas into PvP zones, requiring you to be vigilant and stay on your toes when targeting main objectives. Throne and Liberty is set in the world of Solstium, which is under threat from Khazar, the game's main antagonist. The inhabitants of Solstium seek control of fragments of the Star of Siliveth to gain the power needed to thwart Khazar's conquest, setting the stage for a classic high fantasy good versus evil conflict. An open beta for PC and consoles is quickly approaching on July 18th, providing you with an early opportunity to try the game for yourself. Mario and Luigi are teaming up once again in Mario and Luigi Brothership, the first new game in the series in 9 years, and set to release on November 7th. Announced during the June 2024 Nintendo Direct, this beloved RPG series returns exclusively to the Switch. Now, details about Mario and Luigi Brothership are limited, with only an announcement trailer available so far. The trailer's description hints at an island-hopping adventure featuring the Mario Brothers, but does not reveal much about the game's storyline. The game retains a side-scrolling platform design, upgraded with graphics for the current gen of consoles. Promised features include, quote, evolved moves for the brothers, though specifics about gameplay are pretty sparse. Nintendo has not disclosed which studio developed the game, while Alpha Dream, the original studio behind the series, closed in 2019. According to VGC, Nintendo has confirmed that some of the original developers were involved in the new game. While we don't know much about the game thus far, a new Mario and Luigi RPG experience is always exciting and one to look forward to. Next up is Avowed, an upcoming action RPG from Obsidian Entertainment. Set in the fantasy universe of Aora, the very same universe as Obsidian's other series, Pillars of Eternity. It blends a rune-based magic system, swordplay, and firearms into its combat while also focusing on storytelling, meaningful choices, and interesting characters. Avowed takes place in a previously unexplored segment of Aora known as the Living Lands. The game's world design and scale is likened to that of the Outer Worlds, with game director Carrie Patel explaining that the game is envisioned as a series of interconnected zones rather than a vast open world. From the footage I've seen thus far, the Living Lands has beautiful landscapes, interesting creatures, and is able to tell the story of different regions through its design. Throughout the various gameplay trailers and deep dives thus far, we have seen some of Avowed's wilders and creatures that we will interact with in the Living Lands. From reptilian-like Zurups to plague-stricken bears to spoilings, the Living Lands features a wide variety of interesting creatures. Regarding the story of Avowed, your character is chosen as an envoy by the Emperor to investigate a plague known as the Dream Scourge, a plague that is spreading through the wild frontier of the Living Lands, corrupting souls as it grows. Player choice is central to Avowed's experience, affecting various aspects of the game from questing to combat to exploration. In my opinion, from what we've seen, Avowed looks like it has some really nice character visuals and voice acting with dialogue choices, offering multiple options, and an ability to review your conversation history, which I always love to see those small fine details like that. And game director Kerry Patel has confirmed that Avowed offers various endings for you to experience, depending on the choices you make in game, which I also like to see. In Avowed, your character will be a godlike, a type of character who is blessed by a god. They possess these distinct head mutations that can change depending on the god that chose them. In Avowed, your companions will play a big role in the game's story, serving as both allies and guides as you traverse the Living Lands. They have strong ties to the area and they can assist you in various ways, such as talking with other characters or actually navigating the land like burning brambles or helping you get through different obstacles. So far, we've seen 4 companions that we will interact with in Avowed. We've seen Kai, Yatzli, Giada, and Marius. Avowed features a flexible combat system designed to give you freedom in the way that you play. You can have 4 customizable loadouts that you can switch between during combat. And Avowed will not tie you to specific classes that you have to choose from, but is looking to have more of a classless progression system, utilizing skill trees, which you can respec at any time if you'd like to change your abilities. From what we've seen, Avowed will feature a wide variety of interesting abilities for you to choose from and use in combat or just to navigate the Living Lands. Avowed is one of my most anticipated RPGs this year, and if you'd like to know more about the game, then click on the link in the description, or I'll put it at the end of the video where I discuss 5 reasons that I'm excited for Avowed. Next up is Assassin's Creed Shadows, formerly known as Codename Red. Shadows is set in feudal Japan from 1579 through the early 1580s, during the turbulent end of the Sengoku period. Shadows' game world is comparable in size to Assassin's Creed Origins, with an emphasis on realistic scale. While Shadows' game length remains unspecified, for reference, AC Origins' main story takes around 30 hours to complete. Assassin's Creed Shadows features 2 playable characters, Yasuke, the first ever black samurai, and Naoe, a ninja-like female shinobi. During gameplay, you can switch between both protagonists except during introduction quests and character-specific missions. Naoe embodies a classic assassin with a hidden blade, utilizing stealth tactics, wall scaling, and hiding within the environment. She has a throwable kunai, a chained blade for slicing through enemies, and a grappling hook for improved traversal and for performing aerial assassinations. While Yasuke, in contrast, is a samurai focused on direct combat, leveraging his heavy armor and swordsmanship. Now, both characters will have unique skill trees and gear, but they will share XP, collected weapons, and resources. Shadows aims to make combat feel more impressive by increasing the destructible environmental items and reintroducing instant kills with the hidden blade. Shadows is also introducing duels, which will emphasize blocking, parrying, and dodging. You can acquire and master various weapons, each with their own skill trees and proficiency systems. Weapons can be found or crafted using gathered components, and the transmog feature allows gear appearance customization, which I always love to see. The more customization, the better. Shadows introduces a light-dark system that impacts the stealth experience. It dynamically adjusts lights and shadows, affecting enemy vision, and can be influenced by extinguishing lamps and defeating torch carriers. The light-dark system also interacts with a seasonal mechanic, changing the terrain and your methods of concealment as the seasons change in-game, which sounds like a really cool and interesting system that will help to change the gameplay as you progress throughout the game. Now, AC Shadows has not been without its controversy thus far. A petition launched in June on change.org has reached over 70,000 signatures at the time of recording this video, calling for Ubisoft to cancel the release, accusing the company of disrespecting Japanese culture. Now, criticisms include misrepresentation of samurai roles, architectural errors, inaccurate costumes, and the portrayal of Yasuke. Game director Charles Benoit has promised to address architectural inaccuracies before release, but it remains uncertain whether other aspects will change. And to be honest, I don't expect a whole lot of things to change, especially with the story, because it's just simply too late. They're not probably going to do that. Now, a Japanese setting for an Assassin's Creed game has been a wish for a long time now, so it will be interesting to see how this could affect the sales, or at least the reception of the game. Assassin's Creed isn't known for being a perfectly historic representation, so I wouldn't really expect things to be much different for AC Shadows. It's a video game, it's going to take liberties, it's not going to be directly historic and accurate. But with any Ubisoft game, there'll be plenty of criticism, but if the game ends up being fun, then the rest of that likely won't matter in the end. Because if a game is fun, the people will play it. Dragon Age the Veilguard, previously known as Dragon Age Dreadwolf, was officially revealed during the Xbox Game Showcase at Summer Game Fest. Now the reveal included new combat mechanics and the city of Minrathous, as well as familiar characters along with the game's antagonist Solace. Executive producer Gary McKay explained the title change in a blog post, emphasizing that Veilguard's story focuses on you and your companions, not just the enemies you'll face in-game. Now in Veilguard, you will play as a character known as Rook, a fully customizable main character at that. You'll step back into the world as Rook and will battle on the front lines to stop Solace. Now the character creator in this game is the most extensive in a BioWare RPG to date, allowing you to adjust every aspect of Rook's appearance. You can choose from 3 different classes, each offering unique playstyles. The warrior class allows you to control the flow of battle with options to wield a sword and shield or deliver heavier blows with a 2-handed weapon. The rogue class focuses on quick movement on the battlefield, using either bows or dual swords for precise strike. The mage class enables you to wield elemental spells like ice, fire, or lightning to deal magic damage. The Veilguard features a more action-oriented combat system compared to previous games. Now this new system builds on the combat mechanics of earlier titles but focuses more on the action, with each class having specializations that can be activated during battles. You'll still make choices and select dialogue that influence how scenes unfold, using a dialogue wheel similar to that of Dragon Age 2. And in this installment, you can choose from one of 7 factions when you're creating your character. These factions will enhance the role-playing aspect by providing unique dialogue, character backgrounds, and different reactions from the characters in-game that you'll meet. The Veilguard introduces a variety of new companions central to the experience, and will introduce 7 new companions. Each companion brings unique motivations and skills, allowing you to form friendships and even romantic relationships with them. Dragon Age is a series beloved for its world and the decisions you can make to influence the world as you play. As long as the Veilguard continues to innovate on this formula, it can be another fantastic entry in the series. Arc 2, the sequel to Ark Survival Evolved, is now slated for release at the end of 2024. While Ark isn't your traditional RPG, it does feature some RPG elements, and Ark 2 looks to push forward the series by increasing the focus on the game's narrative, as well as overhauling the combat and traversal systems. Originally announced in 2020, Ark 2 has experienced several delays. Studio Wildcard has emphasized their commitment to making Ark 2 the best it can be, prioritizing quality and the team's well-being over rushing the game out, which I can really respect in an industry that is well known for development crunch. The first trailer of Ark 2 revealed in 2020 was fully captured in-engine, displaying the team's ambition for the sequel. Development has shifted some throughout, but the game is currently being developed on Unreal Engine 5. The storyline of Ark 2 is set to follow the events of Genesis Part 2, the final DLC expansion for Ark Survival Evolved. It involves a clone of the player character Santiago da Costa, played by Vin Diesel, heading towards an Earth-like alien planet, which will serve as the setting for the game's story. While we've yet to see direct gameplay from Ark 2, developer Studio Wildcard has teased what to expect. Initially planned to be similar to its predecessor as a sandbox survival experience, Ark 2 has evolved to feature significant changes. The game will incorporate melee combat features such as target locking, blocking, dodging, combos, staggers, and special attacks. It will focus more on primitive-only weaponry and strict third-person mechanics and character traversal systems, including sliding, swinging, free climbing, mantling, and parkour. Set in a vast new alien environment, Ark 2 will present dynamic world events independent of your actions, offering unique rewards and challenges based on interaction. Additionally, you can craft weapons and tools from various modules, creating plenty of combinations. One of the key features announced for Ark 2 is the integration of mod.io's cross-platform mod and user-generated content support. This feature will allow for a wide range of player-created mods, which will be available across PC and Xbox platforms. Ark 2 is shaping up to be an ambitious addition to the series. With its advanced gameplay mechanics and new-look visuals, hopefully the delays will make the final game worth the wait. Neo Berlin 2087 is a game that we saw revealed over a year ago at Gamescom 2023. Since that event, details on the game have been basically radio silent. Neo Berlin is a game being developed by indie developer Elysium Game Studio. Established in 2019, they aim to deliver narrative-driven games with high-quality storytelling and graphics. And Neo Berlin 2087 is their debut project. Despite some of the initial mixed reaction to its trailer, the game, which is powered by Unreal Engine 5, has gained attention for the visuals and cyberpunk theme. Set in a futuristic Berlin, Neo Berlin presents a city divided by technological advancements. The wealthy thrive within the city's walls, enjoying the fruits of progress, while the outskirts are subject to serious poverty. You step into the role of a detective navigating this divided world, facing moral dilemmas and engaging in immersive investigations. The game's story revolves around societal divisions, technological disparities, and the quest for justice and truth. The game has a blend of open world exploration and high stakes combat. You will utilize advanced cyberwares to solve mysteries and engage in combat. As a detective, you have unique abilities to understand human behavior and also hack into suspects' minds, extracting crucial information to solve cases. The game focuses on the detective's journey through social and political landscapes, focusing on the commitment to justice. Neo Berlin looks to be an interesting addition to the cyberpunk genre. As the studio's first big project, it'll be really interesting to see how they can deliver on this game and the impact that they may make with their debut project. As it stands, the game still has an unspecified 2024 release date. However, due to the lack of updates on the game, Neo Berlin is one that I have some huge doubts about making the 2024 deadline. I wanted to still include it on the list because it is listed for 2024, but I wouldn't at all be surprised if it's pushed to 2025 or beyond. The Gothic remake is an ambitious project set to release in the second half of 2024. Announced at Gamescom 2023, this game is a reimagining of the iconic 2001 RPG. The original Gothic was a fantasy-themed action RPG developed by Piranha Bytes. In the original game, you control an unnamed hero trapped in a prison colony surrounded by a magical barrier. You navigate factions, complete quests, and uncover a plot involving a powerful demon, ultimately seeking to escape the barrier. The world in the Gothic remake will be 20 to 30% larger than the original. In 2019, there was a playable teaser of the game, and since that playable teaser, combat mechanics have been completely revamped, moving away from the criticized Souls-like approach in 2019, which received some positive and some mixed reviews on Steam. Now the game has a more gradual learning curve with weapons, leading to more varied combat styles. And the game also promises new dialogue and fan service, enriching the Gothic experience. A significant leap in the remake is its transition to Unreal Engine 5. This move provides enhanced graphics and a shiny new look. However, the developers are committed to maintaining the original's gloomy atmosphere and visual style, ensuring a faithful recreation to the beloved Gothic world. The story will also remain faithful to the original, where you find yourself as a prisoner in the Corinthus mines, with the world turned chaotic due to a magical barrier gone wrong. It was recently announced that the developer of the series, Piranha Bytes, is being shut down by the Embracer Group. While this is disappointing to hear, it should not affect the development of the remake, as it's being developed by THQ Nordic studio Alchemia Interactive. The Gothic remake aims to be a modernized and expanded version of the classic RPG. With its enhanced combat system, larger world, and upgraded graphics, it looks like an awesome remake that can pull in both original fans and new players to the series. Phantom Blade Zero is an upcoming game that has garnered attention due to its bleak aesthetic and hyper-fast hack-and-slash combat. Reminiscent of titles like Wukong and Sekiro, it stands out with a closer camera and a more cinematic art style. The game first debuted at the PlayStation Showcase in 2023. Since then, 3 trailers have been released, including a new anime trailer during Chinese New Year, setting the stage for a revenge-filled story, and the latest gameplay reveal at the Summer Game Fest opening night. Phantom Blade Zero has been showing off more and more snippets of gameplay, with a recent 10-minute showcase and an IGN hands-on demo. Now, the game looks to deliver a faster, more visceral combat experience compared to titles such as maybe Ghost of Tsushima or Wukong. The gameplay focuses on fast-paced melee battles and varied boss fights, featuring enemies with long-range and trick weapons, as well as environmental destruction capabilities, with in-game cinematics transitioning into fights and a diverse cast of characters. Now, in-game, you will control Soul, an elite assassin from the Order, who, after being gravely injured and revived by a mysterious healer, has 66 days to seek revenge. Set in the open world of Phantom World, the game is being developed using the Unreal Engine 5, and a 30-minute demo of the game is expected to be released later this year. From the footage we've seen thus far, I really like the game's aesthetic, the concept of them having so many days to seek revenge. It really adds sort of some pressure and some stakes to the game as well. The combat looks really cool and action-packed, which is something I also enjoy, so I'm looking forward to playing the demo, which will hopefully be out in the near future. Be sure and let me know which games you're most excited for down in the comments below, and let me know which games I may have missed. Be sure and subscribe if you're new to the channel, and check out the video on your screen. YouTube thinks you'll like it.